Hello everyone, good morning and good evening. Welcome to this Q&A session brought to you by Packt Publishing. I'm Neha Pande, a relationship lead from Packt Game Development Domain. Thanks for joining us as we talk about using C++ to build and control animations in real-time game graphics. We are diving into a topic that lies at the very core of modern game development. How animation systems are architected, optimized, and brought to life using real code and real tools. And we have just the right people to guide us through it. Joining us today are two incredible experts who have brought a deep technical knowledge and hands on experience to this space. But before we jump in, I am thrilled to be joined by my colleague and co host Namita Velgekar, our growth lead at Pack. Hi, Namita, over to you.
Thank you so much, Neha, and hello everyone. A very warm welcome from my side as well. I'm Namita Velgekar, Growth Lead at Packt. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all today, as well as Sergey and Michael. We're incredibly excited to host today's session, not just because it's packed with insights, but also on around game animation and graphics programming.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what makes today's conversation so exciting, to be honest. So, we are joined by Michael Dunsky, a seasoned developer with more than 20 years of programming experience. He is the author of the book Mastering C++ Game Animation Programming, in which Michael has 4 years of hands on experience that doesn't just explain how things work, it shows you in code how to make them work.
Yes,
Yep.
and we are also thrilled to have Sergey Kosarevsky join us as a guest author and a guest. Sergey is a former rendering lead at Ubisoft RedLynx. He currently leads Vulkan development at Meta. He has more than 20 years of software development experience and more than 12 years of mobile and embedded 3D graphics experience. He has co-authored several books on mobile software development in C++, the latest being the Vulkan 3D graphics rendering cookbook. Michael and Sergi, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you both with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to kick things off, Michael, first question to you. Could you start telling our viewers a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, hi. I'm Michael. I'm already 50 years old. I started as electronics guy in the beginning and worked my way up with operations like DevOps and co. And I'm finally a gameplay programmer right now. I was approached by Packt about, what was it, 22 for the C++ game animation programming book, second edition. It was awesome to write this. A lot of learning, a lot of fun. And there was so much left on ideas that I approached Packt and said, oh, let's do a second book about it because I wanted to know more and deliver more. And that's how the book was created, year full of work without much sleep and anything else because it was done next to a full-time job. But it was already awesome, again, awesome. Maybe there's a third book at some point. Yeah, I learned a lot, and I hope I brought it over to the readers so that they can understand how all the animation stuff works behind the scenes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. It's really great having you here, and it's wonderful to hear that you have been enjoying the process of, overall writing of the book. Michael's ability to make complex topics so accessible for the reader is truly impressive, and it's fantastic to have, both of you and Sergey here to share your insight with us today. Michael, so now that we have heard a bit about your background, let's dive into your book. If you had to summarize the book in just few sentences, how would you describe it to our audience?
It's if you're interested how things work behind the scenes of all this animation part, this book is perfect for you. As real world example, I played around with another book from Packt with Blender and Godot to create a small game. And in the end, you had just a little level with a navigation area, and you can click anywhere, and the character walks toward there. And to understand how this works behind the scenes, my book will explain to you how the character stays on ground, how the navigation path is generated, how the model is loaded, all the nitty-gritty details that you might want to know how it works instead of just, oh, I'm placing a character. How does it work that the engine has the character and plays all the animation? This is the question you might have. Get the book and you get the answers.
Great. That's such a strong start, Michael. I love how you emphasize, the techniques behind the book. It's really something that stood out for all of us who have been flipping through the book. Sergi, a question to you now. A quest to you while Michael's Vulkan implementation in the book is intentionally simple, focused on drawing basic geometry and doing some core calculation. It actually demystifies the pipeline for new learners. From your perspective, how do you find this book? And how valuable is it for developers to start with such minimal Vulkan setups before diving into more optimized or complex scenarios?
Could you repeat the question again, please? It's just not very clear. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So the question is, first question is, how did you find this book? And second is, from a perspective on how valuable it is for developers to start from minimal Vulkan setup before diving into more optimized or complex scenarios. Like, what is the flow? How do you perceive it? What do you go ahead with? Yeah.
I think like it's a great way to get traction with all this like graphics pipeline and establishing things like from the very beginning. Then we just set up like this graphics, Vulkan, and build on top. And I think it's just a nice resource for like many developers who want to learn these techniques, and it just covers a lot of adjacent topics. I was reading and like just kind of like a graphics guy doing graphics for the past more than 20 years. And there were some kind of interesting moments there that I was just going like, aha, something interesting. And this is kind of the kind of book, the kind of books I like, and just like being able just to dig up something, like even being an expert in the field, and just it was pretty cool. So I like the book, and I think it's just a nice, very nice stuff to have it. Thank you, Michael, for doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sergi. That these are some great pointers out there, stripping down to how it helps the developers build confidence and before tackling more complex systems. Was the main idea of this book. Now, Michael, again, question to you. Creating that deeper level of interaction is something that is often overlooked in tutorials. Now, let's talk about collision detection. In your book, you discuss instance or level collision detection along with the use of wireframe minimap and octree debug. How does this all come together and how these tools help explain collision detection?
Yeah, I can show it to you, not just talk about it. Do you see the screen? Is it in a recording? Great.
Yeah.
So let's see. No, that's the wrong example. I have to use this one. Sorry. So I can show to you. I just loaded a simple level, and this level has something like 10,000 triangles. So it's not really big for today's games, but it's a good example. And I have like 9 instances running around, and checking all 9 instances against every 10,000 triangles in every frame is not doable. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating a simple octree. I can zoom out a bit, where you can see I'm subdividing the level into smaller parts. And you can also see if I have more triangles per subdivision, I see it immediately. And what I'm doing in this moment is, if I also enable the collisions, is checking every of these axis aligned bounding boxes against the octree. And the result, I can even show this, are just a couple of triangles which are left. So you subdivide all your level data and just check a small part of the octree, and suddenly you have something like 20, 30 triangles left to check per instance where they are. And I added artificial gravity to pull the instances down, so they are really walking on ground. As you can see, the minimap is something which I personally love because it just shows you where you are. So all this helps you to understand how it works by looking at it. Not just you see some code, you have some explanation, but you can really play around with it. One of the things is like ground slope. Oops, not suddenly at some point the ground is no longer ground. and you can see the instances falling through. And this is something you might see in some games where you suddenly are below the ground, and this is the reason why. Simple collision check fail, and you can play around with all the stuff you might want to know. You can get some explanation. You can see the code, how it's done. It's a very fairly basic implementation. There are no many octrees used. There are more advanced techniques, but an octree is easy to create, and I'm creating this on the fly. So I hope this will get some insights how it basically works.
Yeah, that's pretty nice, and I guess neat and visual way to break down something like that can be really complicated. I guess the other time I really like that ground slow part. Now, moving on to onto something equally exciting, morph target animation and additive blending. I know a lot of readers will want to know how you set this up in Blender and how it translates into the application. Can you give us a quick overview of how that works?
Yeah, sure. I can start the first example where I can just grab me one of the instances. Come on, guy. There you are. I move him around. This is one of the parts I love about the application, that I can just simply move the guy around without having to manipulate too much. So if you see these controls, you have some face animation. You can make the guy angry by pulling a simple slider, or we can make him happy. That's no problem. If we use Blender, I can go for it and simply import this guy into Blender. And you have in the data section they are named shape keys. It's also in the book explained. And what these shape keys are doing is simply changing the appearance of the face. I can go to the shading part to see it in real stuff. And again, you see, oh, he's angry and anything else. And I'm just interpolating between the basic version and one of the shape keys. As a practical session for the reader, I added the ability to say, okay, let's blend between two of these, which is not possible right now with my simple implementation. But I'm just using these shape keys and interpolate between the basic and this stuff. And if we are going to the head animation, there are some extra animations done with this additional additive blending, where I can set the animation and I can go and I play the animation. And this is really fun every time that I can let this guy make some head banging. In Blender, this is done by using the non-linear animation part. I have to scroll down. And we have the same animations, look left, right, up and down here as animations defined. And if I dive into one of these animations, let's take this one. You see the guys in T-pose, where everything is set to default. And if I play the animation, I just turn around the head. That's all I do. And the additive blending is just adding this change, every change on top of another animation. And since nothing happens to the rest of the body, just the head animation gets added on top of everything else. As you can see, the head is slightly going up and down in the idle animation, and the animation of the head is just stacked on top. You can put on top whatever you like. You could do eye animation, mouth animation as additive blending, and you can, feel free, whatever you want to do, add it to the code, showcase it. It's always exciting.
Oh, it's really exciting. It's really brilliant. I really like the facial, all the different facial features that are there on this particular character. And it adds a realism and flexibility, to the animation. Now, moving on to the next question. And before I move on to the next question, I would also like to say that all the background, the mini people out there, it's really interesting and it's really nice to have so many different, like a bunch of people out there. It's really nice. Now, moving on to the next question. For those who are watching today, who are considering picking up your book, who do you think will benefit the most from it?
It's I think in more experienced C++ people who are interested in game animation in general. It's not generating stuff, but how do I load a model, which is, as Sergey, I think, can agree, is not really straightforward in many cases. That you have a GLTF model loaded, how to animate it, how to stack up the animations, how to do all these things you see every day in your games. And yeah, you want to know what's going on, then you're the right person to get the book and say, you have, like I said, many of these aha moments. This is how it's done. And if you get it explained, most of the stuff like the additive blending or the morph target animations become really easy. And you look with a different face on the next game. If you see the character talking to you, you know how it's done. This kind of curiosity will be satisfied.
Yeah.
It's a great resource for those who want to specialize, especially like for those who already know some kind of like basics in 3D graphics and want to specialize into some aspects of game development focused on animation. It's a great resource because it just brings together so many things which are super difficult to find otherwise, like on internet and different tutorials. Here, just like pretty much a lot of that information distilled in one book, and just super awesome.
Yeah, this was also my reason to write the book, because I couldn't find the stuff and what I wanted to do, and well, then make it. Instead of complaining, I made it, all the stuff, and explained it also to other people to be helpful.
That's really nice. Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you, Sergey. It's really insightful, Michael, giving that all that tidbit for, who actually is this book is for. Sergey was speaking about the book. I just wanted to know, are there any particular section or concepts within the book that stood out most to you? And is there anything you would like to share with our viewers on your thoughts about it?
Was this for me or for Sergey?
Sergey, yeah.
Say it again, please. Just like it's disconnecting and disappearing. But
No way. So I just asked you, is there any particular section or concept within the book that stood out most to you? And if you would like to share that with us.
well, for me, like this, the interesting part was just setting up things. Like in the very first chapters, there was some ways, for example, to configure this like GLFW framework with this SDL. And there were some things there that I didn't know, for example. And for me, that was like one of those kind of interesting things. I just put in a check mark saying, or just I learned something new. And throughout the book, pretty much like all these small things. So I wouldn't like highlight any specific chapter. For me, it's just was like connecting like the dots together. It's just like small pieces here and there. And it's just like personal experience from reading, basically.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Neha.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael and Sergey, for such an insightful discussion today. It's clear that, Michael, your book is not just a guide, it's a gateway to truly understanding the inner working of character animation and Vulkan. I'm sure our audience has learned a lot, and I can't wait for them to dive into the details with your book. To everyone watching, remember, whether you are a seasoned C++ game developer, someone looking to master animation system, this book will offer you the tools, knowledge, and inspiration to level up your skills.
Yeah, and as one more or less final note, if you want to play around with this stuff, on the landing page is a demo available where you can get an executable file of and the assets of the last chapter, and you don't need a compiler or anything. You can just click on the executable and do all the stuff I do here and play around with it without breaking anything or even having to install a compiler. Just get it and play around.
Absolutely. We would also love for you, all the readers to join our community on Discord, where Michael is actively chatting with readers and answering your questions. You will find the link in the comments or on the books page. If you enjoyed today's session, don't forget to like, share, and follow us for more such conversation. And we also have a new game dev newsletter for the indie game developers that's coming soon. That's for mainly for game developers, technical artists, and AAA game professionals. So do subscribe to our newsletter to get the best of game development news, tutorials, and expert insight. Links and details is in the description. A big thank you again to Michael and Sergey for sharing their expertise, and to everyone who tuned in today. We are so glad you could join us. If today's session sparked your interest, we would love for you to explore Mastering C++ Game Animation Programming book further. And if you do, feel free to share your thoughts or leave a review on Amazon. It helps others discover the book and means a lot to all of us involved. Until next time, keep coding, keep creating, and keep animating. We look forward to seeing you what you build next. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much.